because, again, I have to say I'm not a world-class expert on anything. And the reason I say that is because I am very well aware of how much I don't know. But I've been looking at arcane and dark subjects all my life and been in the company of all the experts around the world doing strange things that's affecting the human family on the earth. And so I know a lot of these people, astronauts and scientists, physicists, NASA officials, and movie stars, and just the movers and the shakers. I've been in their company, purposely in their company. I go out and seek to be in their company, but I do it in such a way that they do not feel threatened by me. I try and always, I'm talking to show them that I am sincerely interested in learning and knowledge and wisdom and understanding, and want to help my fellow man to understand the ways of the world and how the world of mankind works. And because of that, and because of pursuing that kind of modus operandi for all my life, for 60 years, I've met some extraordinary people. And I think it's because I was led to meet them, because some of the people and some of my experiences are so strange and so absolutely incredible that I know it has to be that I was led to meet these people, that the spirit, whatever you want to call God, the spirit, the great architect of the universe, whatever it is, but whatever it is, has allowed me to be in the company of impressive, important people who most of the time have never been heard of by the world. The world does not know these people exist. So many of people in the world today do not know who is running this planet we live on. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there are bosses upon bosses, and no matter how important you are, doesn't matter how important you are, you've got a boss, somebody over you. You may be the world heavyweight champion boxer, but there's a guy out there that one day is going to teach you a lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you may be the big shot right now, but there's a guy coming up next year that you're going to meet in a ring, and you're going to wish you never met him. And so it's because there are always going to be higher-ups in this world. And no matter how smart you may think you are, there's going to be somebody who's going to replace you, and he's going to be 100 times bigger than you are. And so wisdom alone teaches you to always be humble and thankful for what you know and what you have, because it's better to take the back seat in the synagogue, so to speak, and have the master invite you to come up and come sit in the front, because you deserve to come up to the master and sit in the front, rather than you going in and sitting in the front, and the master comes in and asks you, would you please go out in the parking lot? We don't want to see you. Then you have to get up and leave. And so that's embarrassing. So I've always felt it's important to be humble, and and so that if somebody wants to say, well, Jordan Maxwell said this and that, he was wrong. Well, I told you I wasn't the world's foremost authority on anything. But I know who are. There's an old saying that a truly wise man does not need to know everything. He just needs to know where to find it if he needs it. Well, I do. If I don't understand something about science or astronomy, or I got all kinds of friends very high up in this world that you would never know, that you would never suspect I even know. And so what I do, I say what I do, and what I bring to the table in my mind is not what I know. It's who I know and who I have been in the company of to hear. And then when I hear what's going on by these people behind the scenes, and then I watch the world of mankind around me, and I know they don't know. They don't know what's going on. I do, but I got to watch what I say in public, because the guys who I talked with, it was a situation where you're being talked to privately in a private conversation. And and if it gets out into the public what you were talking about, they're going to know you've been talking, you know. And now that's dangerous because here's the way it works. If I, well, you will use me as an example. If I'm telling you something that somebody I met in a bar or in a restaurant one time, and I found out who he really was and the things he's telling me, that he's worked for the CIA, he was a hit man for the mob or something, whatever it was, and I go out and talk with your audience about him, using his name or whatever, it makes for great radio. That's sensational radio. People will love it to hear all the really legitimate dark stuff that's actually going on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that makes great radio. Yeah, but you're going to be dead in the next week because you talked about something you're not supposed to talk about, and you have divulged someone's name and what they were telling you in private, and now they are in trouble for telling you.
How much do you?
Their wife.
I don't mean to interject, but how much do you think out of all these years? How much on a scale between 1 and 100%? How much do you think you are holding back just for maybe fear of your life or fear of the repercussions of possibly spilling certain things that that could probably cost your life? How much are you holding
I
back?
would say probably 50% that I consider to be extremely dangerous, that I would never, ever even act like I said something in public about certain people I know that are very famous, that you would know immediately, are very famous, but I know something about them you don't know, because I was there and I saw them. I was in their company. And so, but yeah, but if I talk, it's going to make a wonderful radio show, and then next week you can come to my funeral.
I think they'd be afraid to do that to you, Jordan. I know you've had threats against you in the past, and
lots of,
but I think me and others out there, I think they would, if anything was to happen to you, I think they would. Well, a lot of people were saying that they don't want to make you into a martyr, and well, they had this rebellion, I guess you could say, people marching in the streets or whatever. But then again, as much as we love you, a lot of people that are fans and followers of you, guess you can look back and think everybody loved Bill Cooper,
Nikolai Tesla,
or I'm talking like more recent with Bill Cooper.
Of course,
because you would think that there would have been more of a, people loved him too. You think there would have been more of an uprising and rebellion and just questions and answers with the government and I guess the perpetrators behind that,
That's right. But the bottom line is, no, he's dead and gone. His family is lost without him, and nobody did much. Nobody said much. So life goes on. Go to work tomorrow, and the Dodgers are playing tomorrow, and you got your bills to pay. And so the military in America, the American military establishment, the Joint Chiefs of Staff in Washington, D.C., they are all wearing all of their bling bling, all their big medals and stuff, and they're being paid big salaries What are they doing to defend the American Republic? Zero, nothing.
Yep, exactly.
Zero, nothing.
So
Now, sit by and watching the great American Republic being raped, destroyed, crucified, the American people raped, thrown into prisons, and they do nothing.
mm-hmm.
So,
and the thing is, you would think we would unite and band together, but the thing, because you and other researchers have stated it, that we are the majority and they are the few. The thing is, just like on a simple level, Jordan, this is very simple. I'm not talking about with politics and the world stage. I'm talking about with a simple level that I'm about to explain here. Okay, just your normal job. Let's say you work in a factory, and you're not being treated fairly. Everybody, and these managers, these owners, they're treating you like shit, and they because I've actually had my bosses tell me I can hire somebody off the street and to do your job, and they make these threats and these acquisitions. They make all this to put you in fear of losing your job. But the thing is, if everybody just quit, or everybody just said, no, we're not going to work today, we're not going to do this, they will go in panic mode. But the thing is, everybody's afraid. One more minute, Jordan. Everybody's afraid to unite together because they're afraid of, what if I get fired? What if I go without a job? Then I can't watch my Monday Night Football. I can't watch Jordan Maxwell on YouTube or whatever it is, because I can't afford. But that's what they want you to do.
I won't even have a place to live. Yeah.
They want you to do that. They want you to be in fear to where you can't, I guess, rise up against the machine, for lack of a better term. Jordan, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, originally back in the late 1600s, early 1700s, there were fraternities and fraternal orders rising up in Europe. And we call them the Knights Templars, or the Knights of St. Paul, and the Knights of St. John, and whatever. These were Masonic orders. They rose up and they gathered individuals who were knowledgeable and knew what was going on, and they didn't like what the Church, the Roman Catholic Church, was doing, killing people and murdering them and hunting people down like animals. Most people don't know anything about the history of the Church, what it really was. But these people joined together, and then there was an idea expressed by these secret societies in Europe of one for all and all for one. And so the conceptual idea we see in gangs today, and just in the gangs on the streets. You mess with one guy in the gang, and you got the whole gang to deal with. They're coming to protect him. You want to mess with one biker? Yeah. Well, you better be ready to mess with all 280 of them, because they're coming for you. Well, that tends to make the authorities back up a little bit. Maybe you better treat them a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And so, and then of course Gandhi, when Gandhi comes along, he was incredibly brilliant. He was a lawyer, but he in the British system, but he introduced something. I don't know if it was him that introduced it, but he used the idea of non-compliance against the enemy, against the state. He's not. He continues, says, we're not going to fight the British government. We're not going to fight the governmental systems, because they're bigger than we are. They got guns and they kill people. They don't give a damn who they kill. So you get in their way, they'll kill you. But we just won't act at all. So whatever it is you tell us to do, we're just not doing it. So what you going to do about that? The whole country is not going to do it. Now, what are you going to do about it? You're going to throw all 14 million of us in prison? Because we're not going to do it. Well, you issued an order? Yeah. Well, we're not listening to it. We're not about to honor that law. Why? Because we all are not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So now what are you going to do? So let's see what you're going to do now. You're going to throw 14 million people into jail to scare us? I don't think so. You mess with all 14 million of us and watch what we're going to do to you. There's only 10 of you and there's 14 million of us.
People don't realize how much power we really have.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you were a politician, you're the mayor of a big city, and you're doing something to rip the people off and doing side deals with the mob and doing all kinds of stuff to aggrandize yourself and aggrandize your wife and kids, and they're driving around in Rolls Royces and fancy cars. But if you see 100,000 working class people come into town in buses and planes and cars, and you find that there's going to be 100,000 people in downtown around your office, and they want you out here with us. We want to see you. Mm-hmm. And when you come out here, son, we're going to be waiting for you. Well, 100,000 people out there are pissed and they're ready to deal with you. Well, you better back up and try and do something to calm this down, because this may get out of line, and you and your wife and your silly ass kids and all your friends that have been sucking the people dry and ripping them off, you're going to have to deal with this 100,000. You may take a few out, but there's 100,000 of them there, and they're all for one. You mess with one, you mess with them all. So if you understand that thinking, that's how the secret societies begin to gain power. But like one of my teachers many years ago said, the problem is that once the small have collected power against the powerful, unfortunately, the way the human beings and the way the human family operates is that later on they will begin to gain the power, because they were brave, they stood up for themselves, and they stood up for what was right, and they got the power away from the powerful. But because you're human, you have become corrupt now. Power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now you are the one that is keeping the people down. So now it starts all over again. The people in the town are now coming to you. And, 50 years ago, you were the one leading the rebellion against the corrupt. Now you're the corrupt, because now you've got all the power. So now you are the fat and lazy, sucking in the power and the money, and so it never stops. Like the Bible says, there's nothing new under the sun. And so what people need is they need someone who understands how government should operate. And we had that in the founding fathers of the United States. They divided the power between three legislative groups. The one group makes the laws, another group adjudicates the laws, and they will enforce the laws, and one group is the court system. And so we divide the power so that nobody has the absolute power. If something happens, all three major will look at it, and all three are equal. So all three have to listen to each other and looking at something, a new law or something. Well, today that's gone. Today
it's a collective.
We have nothing but, today we have collectivism.
Yep.
Which means it's actually, in America, our governmental system today, most people do not know, because most people do not spend 60 years looking at the way the world works. I mean, I have people complaining about me.
Since 1959, right?
Yeah, since 59, I have been studying the laws, where the laws come from, how governments are set up. It's actually 59 years, 1959. It's almost 60 years ago.
Has it gotten worse, Jordan? since then has, because I'm a very optimistic person, and you have lived longer than I have to see all the corruption and bullshit taking place. But I'm optimistic person. But what I'm about to say may seem like I'm being negative. But of course, since then, since your journey into this, into researching more truth about, or gathering more knowledge and everything, since 59, have we gone down further into the rabbit hole, into tyranny and corruption since then? Because it seems like we're just getting worse. Things aren't really getting that much better. And I hate to say that, because I hate to hear myself sound like a pessimistic person. But the reality is, it feels like it's getting worse. Tell me what your thoughts on over the years since 59. Have we gotten worse as a society? And when it comes to tyranny and just everything else under the sun, Jordan?
Yeah, we have obviously, we are now at a point where our governmental system, our civilization, the way we have lived for 1,000 years, or since the year 1 AD, for 2019 years, the way we have lived is now crumbling. Our morals, ethics, scruples, our individual personalities, our individuality, everything is crumbling in front of us. Why? Because we're in the last days of the empire, the American empire. We have made the same mistakes the Romans did, the same mistakes the Greeks and the Babylonians, the Egyptians, all of the great empires have come before us, and nobody seems to realize there's a science to the evolution of mankind. It all works the same every time. And so at one time, we were a small little group. Back in 1770s, we were a little small little companies, a little, what do you call them, colonies, little 13 little colonies of people. And then only about 2% of the male population in those little 13 colonies, 98% no, but it was only about 2% of the men in those little colonies decided that they'd had enough of these royalty, of the Queen Mum and Queen this and Prince Charles and all that nonsensical crap where the Queen rides around in a gold chariot flipping her cigarettes on your children. And she lives on a high, very high up on you. You pay her every month, so she has multiple millions. So her pretty little children and her ignorant husband and crossbreed son and her mentally disordered family can live as royalty. Who said they were royal? They did. They said they're royal. That's like Al Capone. Al Capone said he was running this city. Well, eventually, this kind of thinking leads to tyranny, people being thrown into prisons, and law and order breaks down. And now you're going to see apocalyptic problems coming on the nation, on this country. We are now in the last and final hours of a great republic that's been raped and destroyed. And the whole entire superstructure of our religions of America and our governmental systems of America, our economic and military assistance in America, all of it is corrupt beyond belief. And therefore, we, like the Roman Empire, are in the process now of slowly but surely falling. The Roman Empire became so powerful that Caesar was God. He called himself the Almighty God, and everybody bowed to Caesar, just like everybody bowed to Obama. Oh, he's our savior, our savior. Oh, and the president did this, oh, the president's doing that, and oh, the government's doing this. That's why the Bible says, my people are dying from a lack of knowledge. Dick Gregory said it best. You talk about America being the land of the free and the home of the brave. You ain't free or brave.
Well,
you better
said.
wake up and find out you're in a concentration camp. So you're not free or brave. Go drink your beer and watch a ball game and shut up.
And
because you're going to go to prison if you open your mouth.
And for everybody watching this, of course, I like sports too. But the thing is, I'm not blinded. I watch football. I watch any kind of sport. But I'm not blinded. I see what's going on here. You know what I mean? I'm having an open, awakened, or a conscious conversation with Jordan Maxwell. I know the bullshit that's actually going on behind the scenes. I know that they want to keep us blinded with television, with sports, with everything else.
Alcohol, drugs.
Alcohol, exactly. And the thing is, they want to keep us blinded because they are afraid of us all becoming awakened, conscious beings, Jordan.
Well, of course. That's the bottom line. Make sure that if you're going to rape a great nation, if you're going to subjugate the Roman Empire into slaves, whoever's doing this, very ambitious, very clever and ambitious. They have a desire to suck and eat blood. They want the power. They want the life of the nation and the people on their knees. And so that's organized crime. That sounds like Al Capone. And so today, our governments around the world are like organized crime, except America is leading the world. We finance organized crime around the world. The real truth about how the world works today and America's participation in the destruction of human civilization is so extraordinary, and so many people have never even heard of such a thing, that you're never going to believe who your real enemy really is in this country. Just know that your industry has gone off to other countries, your economics has gone, you've lost your freedoms, you've lost your educated background, you've lost your home, you're losing your job. So now I guess the only thing left to do is just lose your mind. And that's why people are killing each other. They're on drugs, they're mainlining, and the drugs coming in from Central and South America, all of those countries are Catholic. Wake up. Vatican, Roman Empire. And so then we begin to find out from certain people who have actually put themselves on the line and put their lives in danger to do the research and go down into the Medellin cartels in Central America and Mexico, and go down into Central America and South America and look at the ancient secret societies and the murderous thugs that are living with hundreds of millions of dollars they made off of America, who's on drugs. And why are they drugging America? Because they're getting ready to rape America, and they want you on drugs. They want you on alcohol. They want you drinking. They want you mainlining and smoking and all the rest of your crap that you do to destroy your mind and to keep you busy. So they give you basketball and football and 27 other ball games, from football, tennis ball, ping pong ball, bowling ball, pinball.
Who's allowing these drugs to come in,
all
Jordan?
The ball games. Why did they give you ball games? Because these people who are running this country know that's what animals like to do. You throw a ball out for the dogs and they'll play all day with the ball, because they like a ball. Throw the little ball out for the cats, and the cats will play all day long and entertain themselves playing ball. I don't play ball. I've never played ball. I'm on nobody's team. And I know what's going on. This is why you have a liquor store on every corner. Everywhere you go, you got liquor stores. Even in grocery stores, you got liquor stores.
Now,
Why? Because they want you on alcohol.
Now,
They
Jordan,
want you on drugs.
I don't mean to interrupt, but with the alcohol, now, I believe we should do whatever we want to do, have the freedom to do
I
without
totally agree.
without implementing my rights or without me inflicting harm upon your rights, Jordan. You know, but the thing is, with that said, I believe everybody should have the freedom to do what they want to without infringing
I
upon somebody
totally
else's
agree.
rights. Okay, now with that said, how come alcohol is legal, but marijuana is not legal?
See, now you're thinking too much. Now you're thinking a little too deeply.
I think you should be able to do what you want. I just stated that. But the thing is,
Yeah, but that, you're
if
just
they're going to
talking
make
about
some,
regular, but you're
yeah,
just talking about freedom of individual freedom. Yeah.
yes,
Well, the people who ran Europe, that America left Europe to come here to this country to set up a new arrangement, a new kind of government. The people who ran Europe are the same people who are running Europe today. They are royalty. They have a divine right, they say, to rule. What do you talk about a divine right? They have a divine right. Well, that implies God has given them the right to be kings and queens and princes, right? Because they have a divine right. Well, who told these crossbreed imbecilic morons that they have a right from God? The Pope, because he represents God and he's the Holy Father. He's the Godfather. Get it? And so Rome, the home of mafia, La Cosa Nostra, underworld operations, the Roman Empire, the Vatican, they decide who will be princes and who will be princesses and who will rule and who won't. The Holy Father. And once in a while, somebody will come up and decide he wants to be a prince or a king, and they have a bad accident. And so if you don't want to have a bad accident, you better get rid of this idea about freedom, human freedom. And the one thing that the powers that be in this world are not interested in is human freedom. They don't want you having human freedom. You are, in their eyes, an animal. And once you understand that and see for the first time why on your identification, your driver's license, your ID, your insurance company, and everything else, all of your ID says that you are a male. It says male. If it's a woman, it says female. Well, if you go back to, which most people don't even know about, you go back to the United States government printing office, and they, every year or so, they print a booklet, a large, thick booklet called the Styles booklet, the Styles magazine or the Styles booklet, published by the United States government printing office. What that booklet is a big, thick magazine booklet kind of thing called the Styles magazine, and in it, it tells you the words that government uses and what those words in the eyes of government means, not what you think it means. Here's what the government says it means. And so when you say, "Well, I'm a man," or "I'm a citizen," and you think you understand what that means. Now go back and look at the Styles magazine that the federal judges use, that the state judges use, that the law enforcement in America, they use. That's what the word means to law. And it doesn't mean you at all. And so when you find out what words you're using that you think you're using, that's why you're going to jail. You're in a court right now, and they're going to find you guilty, and you're going to go away for 15 years in state penitentiary. Why? Because you're using words that you don't know what you're talking about. You better hire some lawyer who has studied this stuff and knows the Styles magazine. And when you're before that judge, let him do the talking, because you're going to go to jail. You shooting your mouth off because you think you understand what the words mean. No, they don't mean that. Over here, it says this in the law. So that's why you have to have a mouthpiece. You have to have somebody speak for you in a court. Now, why do you have to go to court? Because you play basketball in a court. You play tennis on a court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Come on. So once you understand
court's a game too.
Yeah, right. Once you understand, I've said this before, but it bears witness to say it again. If you have a 2-story building and you're going to put a lot of weight on the second floor, like printing presses or automobiles or whatever, before you do that, the smart thing to do is call a building inspector and go downstairs and get on a ladder downstairs and remove the ceiling tiles downstairs and look at the floor, the foundation of that floor, and see if it's going to hold that kind of weight before you go building on it. So what you're doing is you're standing under the foundation that you're going to build on. And this is where we get the word understanding, because you're standing under. So if you're going to live in this world, you need to wake up and for the first time in your life, understand that the world has been around thousands of years before you were born. And this country was around hundreds of years before your mother was born. And there's already a complete foundation of government, commerce, military already established when you were born. So you're not changing nothing. I don't care who you think you are. You're not changing nothing. The mob took over this country a long time ago, and they run it today. If you don't think so, go out there and try and do something that they didn't tell you you could do, and you don't have a permit for, and you'll go to prison. And if you happen to have a lot of people following you and you're deciding to open their minds and tell people what's going on, they'll kill you. They killed John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, and about 100 more of people who tried to tell their fellow man to wake up. The people who are running your government are criminals. Well, they all ended up dead.
Exactly, Jordan. And whenever we say something, whenever we try to wake up our fellow man, we usually are labeled a conspiracy theorist, or right. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, Jordan, because you're not in a high official. You're not of importance. You're not in D.C.
Well,
you're not
George
a judge.
Carlin, like George Carlin said, the people who run this world and who run your country, it's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So you better wake up and find out there's a mob. It's called the Underworld.
And the thing is, we try to, not just us, everybody that's in this alternative research or just trying to understand this bullshit reality that we live in, this matrix, and trying to bring more awareness about to the people. But the thing is, there's not many of us compared to the rest of the world, people like me and you, people that's going to be watching this, Jordan. And the thing is, whenever we try to spread awareness, the thing is, people, they look at us as just average Joe because we're not important people. So we must not know what we're talking about. That's why they listen to CNN, Fox News, people in black suits, Monday Night Football, whatever they say, is gospel, whatever it is, because we're just an average Joe barely making a living. So who am I to tell them what's actually going on? Because in their eyes, I don't know nothing because I'm not important.
Well, one of the most important news anchormen in Los Angeles on one of the major networks came to my office one time, and I was shocked to see him. This is a very big name in Los Angeles, and here he is coming to my little Mickey Mouse little office, and he was telling me, he said, "Jordan, I've been listening to you for years, and everything you say is true, but unfortunately, people don't know and they don't care. And he said, but I wanted to tell you some things about television and the media that maybe you will not know. Well, I know he knows because I see him on the network every night. And he said, in order for me to get this job that I have with the network, I had to sign a piece of paper. I had to sign a contract that says that if I say on the air anything that is not on my teleprompter, we got a big teleprompter here, and they write it all down what I'm supposed to say, and I read it. Then they put the teleprompter in front of the camera so that I can look directly at the teleprompter and read it. That's all I'm doing, just reading what they say. But behind that teleprompter glass, that glass that I'm reading it off of is like a two-way mirror. I'm seeing a mirror here with the words, and so I'm just reading it. But on the other side is the camera, and it's called a teleprompter. And so they're photographing me. They're putting me on television, nationwide television. All I'm doing is just reading what they wrote. But in order to get that job, I had to sign an affidavit in law that says if I say anything but what's on that teleprompter, I could be arrested. I have given up my right to be arrested. I have given up my right of free speech. You have to sign the paper in front of the lawyer, in front of the corporate lawyer. You sign it, and now we can hire you. And now when you go on television tonight, if you want to say something that's not on that teleprompter, son, you go into prison. You gave up your right of free speech, so you don't have no rights of free speech. We're paying you a lot of money to look nice, to look very impressive, and to do the talking. And after that, you don't have no opinion, stupid. We own you. So he said, and then he said, you know what? If you want to know how corrupt, he said, if you want to know how corrupt the media really is, wait till they do a story on you. Wait till the networks find you and they're coming to you for a story. You've been involved in something, some robbery or something, or whatever it was you did. And the news media, they come to you and they're going to put their microphones in, and you're going to be under the media's attention. Now watch what the media is going to say in the papers tomorrow morning. Watch what the newscasters and the news guys on television are going to say that you said, that are going to say something about what you said and what you did. Only you will know the truth because that's what was on you. So you were the one involved. So you're going to know for sure what you did and what you didn't do and how it worked. Nobody else does. But watch what the media says about you in the press. Watch what they say and watch how they paint the picture and make you look like a fool, make you look like you're a criminal. They make you look like you were mentally deranged because one time in the 6th grade you threw a tantrum and threw a statue at somebody else when you were in the 6th grade. They're going to bring that out. There he is. He's a mentally deranged. No, it's a little 6-year-old. But that most people know all they hear is that, yeah, he was a mentally deranged. That's what the news said.
And the news is important. The news is important. And they're going to everybody else outside of people like me and you and people that's going to be watching this, they're going to believe what the news is telling them. That's right. And I believe that's just one variable that is the problem in the world today, Jordan, is the lamestream news. Your local news all the way to politics, CNN, Fox News, and all of them. And that's just one faction. What other variable do you think is another problem that we are facing as a society today?
Well, first of all, what we talk about in America, original America came from Europe. Okay? And even before the Roman Empire dominated Europe, before the Romans came, there was already in Europe what we call a European Caucasian white man, whatever you want to call it, system of life in Europe. There were already millions of people in Europe before the Roman Empire, all right? And so we divide, they were called Celtic peoples, and so they were divided in between the northern Celtics, the southern Celtics, the eastern Celtics, and the western Celtic peoples. Europe is north, east, west, and south. So you take NEWS, becomes news, north, east, west, and south. Becomes news, okay? And so anything that happens in the north, east, or west, or south becomes news. And so before the Roman Empire even existed, there was already a governmental system among the peoples of Europe back then, even before the Roman Empire. And those people were called Celts or Celtic peoples, European people, okay? But among the European people, the Celtic people, Celtic or Celtic people, they were the lawyers, the judges, the doctors, the politicians, the teachers, anybody that's doing anything that's important. They were Celtic European people, okay? And one of the most important symbols in that ancient culture of ancient Europe, there was a very important symbol among the Celtic peoples, and that was a magic wand. Like Merlin, the magician from England, Merlin with his magic wand, and Mickey Mouse with his magic wand, and all the ancient prophets and all the ancient magicians with their magic wand. Magic wands in Europe were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It was made out of Hollywood. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today in Hollywood is a profoundly well-versed Celtic druidic system of bloodshed, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
And Hollywood is still spreading this fake reality, this false, this illusion over the rest of the world, and especially the rest of the U.S.
And the rest of the world loves it. We just can't wait to watch the Academy Awards. Why? We can't wait to go to the latest movie to see the rape, plunder, the war, the violence, corruption, the incest, the drug addiction, all of the filth and degeneracy, rape and plunder, pornography, pedophilia. We just can't wait. We just want to go to the latest movie, have a cold beer, drink enough beer, and eat and fill your belly, and then go to a good movie and pay $15 a piece to go to the movie. While Hollywood is what they make magic wands out of, and then you begin to find out who really runs Hollywood. And what are they really doing that you don't have the faintest idea in the world about? Until you find out who they really are and what they're really doing.
Exactly.
But they're having a time of their life doing stuff that you have no idea in the world that a human being would do. And they're loving it. So now we're beginning to hear little bits and pieces out of Hollywood about the raping and the sexual harassment and all that, and the pedophilia and all that. But no, it's far worse than that. Far worse than you even begin to know.
And speaking of Hollywood, and you're right, Jordan, speaking of Hollywood, I've stated this on many other shows also, but one of my favorite TV shows, before I get into this, I believe that Hollywood and you, I'm sure, and many others too, they like to, the powers that shouldn't be, or they use Hollywood to spread propaganda. They use Hollywood to keep us in a state of mind control, to also trickle information that's actually true, in many movies.
Of course. And telling you things which are true too.
And within the end credits of Stargate SG-1, one of my favorite sci-fi TV shows, the end credits of Stargate SG-1, I'm reading it right here. Just Google it. Stargate end credits. And it says, We gratefully acknowledge the cooperation of the Department of Defense, Department of the Air Force, and U.S. Space Command. This is on the end credits of Stargate SG-1. What do you think about that, Jordan?
Yeah, what do you think about that? Yeah,
they're telling us right there, but you know,
they're telling you right there in your face. We have the backing of the federal government, NASA, the whole Nazi SS Gestapo, filthy, degenerate Nazi system of space flight, the V2 space flight, Werner von Braun, the SS, the Gestapo, the whole Nazi empire. We now call it Hollywood. And the United States federal government. We call it NASA, NASA. Then you go back and look at NASA and you begin to find out during 1950s and 40s, well, after the 1945, when the Second World War was over, the United States CIA, there was a company started after the Second World War. It was called the CIA. Today, the CIA is well known as running the planet. But back then, it was called something else during the war. But after the war, they changed the name to the CIA. Well, the CIA today is a Nazi operation. It's made up of all the old Nazis that were after the war, and the United States won the war. So they took all of those Nazis, thousands of them, theoreticians, mathematicians, teachers, scientists, astronomers, all the brain work of the Nazi empire.
Probably their intelligence officers also, German intelligence officers.
Exactly. All their top officers and generals, etc. And they brought them to America and gave them new names and passports and put them on the government payroll so that they got government checks every month to live here. Why? So we can use them because they're brilliant. The Germans were very, very highly intelligent people. You know, they build the cars, all the different German-made cars, the German-made industry, anything made in Germany is brilliantly done. And so America wanted all of that German brilliance brought here, bring them here, and let them work for us. So today we have something called the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, is in point of fact a Nazi operation. Why? Because Reinhard Gehlen, one of the top generals in Adolf Hitler's monstrosity of the Nazi Empire, was brought here. And bring all of your scientists and all of your military guys here, bring them all here, and we will put them to work in what we call Washington, D.C. And we'll make them senators and congressmen, and we'll put them in Lockheed and Marietta and all these different military contractors. We'll put all the top Nazis in charge of them. And then all those Nazis later on will come together and make it into an organization called NASA. And NASA is nothing more than a Nazi empire of German scientists, German physicists. How many people know that? And besides, before and who founded the CIA? Well, the men who actually in America, the Americans who put this organization together during the war, changed the name of it and called it the CIA after the war.
Mm-hmm.
But those people working for the U.S. government who founded the CIA were themselves members of the Knights of Malta, a Masonic order in America who works directly for the Vatican, directly for the Vatican. And they work hand in hand in the Vatican with the Jesuits. The Jesuits are a bloody military order that was empowered during the Middle Ages, the 1500s, 1600s. The Jesuits were empowered to protect the Pope and to protect Catholicism, the Catholic Church. Why? Because the Catholic Church was murdering, raping, plundering, killing people all over Europe and around the world to make them crawl on their knees to the Pope. So when the Vatican moved in, it's like the mafia moves in. They move in, and now it's like a tyranny you cannot believe. And therefore, anybody in Europe that would not bow themselves quickly on their knees and bow before the Pope and kiss his ring, etc., they would cut your head off in front of your family. They would kill your children in front of you. So we say, boy, isn't it strange how the Roman Catholic Church became so powerful in Europe and so powerful today that all the people of the world, no matter where they come from, no matter what their nationality, they all go to the Pope in Rome and they kiss his ring and they bow down to him. Isn't it strange that the Pope has that kind of power? No, it's not strange. You're talking about mafia. You're talking about the Knights of Malta, the secret societies that will kill you. They'll come for your women and your children at night. You mess with them and they will kill you.
And nobody can mess with
They're
the Vatican.
very powerful.
And
they are doing it for the Vatican. And since the Vatican wants, it's a Roman Empire, Caesar in Rome. He represents the God. He's the Holy Father who represents God. He's the God Father. And you better wake up and find out who your enemy really is.
And speaking of the Vatican, they are supposed to be part of the neutrality or neutral, and that nobody's supposed to or allowed to invade the Vatican. And it makes you wonder then if especially during World War II, they were part of the neutrality or whatever. So it makes you wonder, maybe they are the puppeteers behind the scenes here, and that's who everybody else in the world they listen to. So
that's why nobody ever bombed the Vatican.
Exactly.
Second World War, we were bombing all of Europe. Everybody was being killed. America was bombing all of Europe, but nobody bombed the Vatican. And you don't bomb Switzerland. You don't fly over Switzerland. You don't drive in Switzerland. And right in the middle during the war, Hitler did a lot of things, but Switzerland wasn't one of them. You stay out of Switzerland. You do not bother it. You don't drop a bomb. No, God help your butt if you drop a bomb or shoot one bullet inside Switzerland, you are a dead man. Why? Because Switzerland is where the Vatican keeps its money. So the Vatican runs Switzerland, period. You don't think so? Mess with it and see who's going to come after you. You're going to have the mob, Cosa Nostra, visit you one night in your restaurant or wherever you happen to be at 2:00 in the morning. You're going to have the mob face to face, and they're going to kill you and your family to teach you don't mess with the Godfather, with the Pope, with Vatican, with the Roman Empire. So I see all of these secret societies I've been talking about and reading about and knowing about for 60 years. They're running the country today. They run all, and the only way you have to know what the symbols that are used. You have to know what the hand signs. When you see these gangs with their hand signs and the different symbols, that means something. And it's colors. You have to know that when you go into a particular area of town and all the young people are wearing blue or they're wearing red or wearing some color, it's because they're showing that they are a member of a particular gang. And in this area of the city, son, if you're not in the gang, you need to get out of here and go someplace else. Because if you come in here wearing a different color, now you're showing your colors. And we say that. So if you come in here, you better wear white. Because if you're wearing blue and our gang wears red, then we're going to know who you are. And you're going to be killed. In this city, we will kill you. So you better, if you come in, you better wear a white shirt.
Why is the Vatican so protected, Jordan? Is it because that they have...
It's to follow the Roman Empire, Caesar, Caesars of Rome.
And within their libraries, maybe they have lost books of Library Alexandria and the hidden history of the human race.
That's right. And all the powerful secrets on how to control the earth, how to control the weather.
Maybe where we actually really came from.
That's right. See, now you're starting to get too smart. You're going to have to go back and drink some beer and watch the ball game because you're starting to think too much. Yeah, that's right. Because after all, the Holy Father deals with the Lord in heaven. The Lord in heaven. I got news for you. If the Lord's in heaven, he's an extraterrestrial, because that's what it means. Out there is extraterrestrial. Here on earth, if he's born in Alabama, it's terrestrial. But if it's God out there, it's extraterrestrial.
So it's safe to say that God is an ET.
Yeah, you can bet on it, because he's not from Alabama and he's not from Mississippi. So well, where is it? Ask an 8-year-old, they'll tell you, well, God's out there. Oh, really? Do you believe in angels? Yeah. And where are the angels? Oh, they're out there too with God. Oh, really? And so when I was, and when I was like 8 or 9 years old, I grew up, my family were Catholic, and, we were very good Catholics. We were very sincere Catholics. We didn't know anything about Christianity or God or anything. All we know, we following the Pope. Whatever he says is. And so in Christianity, I mean, in the Vatican, not Christianity, in the Vatican Catholic system of religion, when you're 8 or 9 years old, you have to be what they call confirmation, meaning all the children will come to church one night, all the boys and girls in town that are Catholic, and they will become confirmed Catholics. It's called confirmation. And so we were told by the nuns in the Catholic school, we were told that tomorrow night when you children go to confirmation service tomorrow night at church, the bishop will be here. So you must be on your best behavior, because the bishop is going to be here. And then the nun said, now after the service is over, the bishop might perhaps, maybe not, but he could perhaps ask you that since you are now confirmed a Catholic at 8 years old, you confirmed, now that you confirmed a Catholic, he will try and answer some of your questions that you may have about the Lord or about God. He'll try and answer them. Now, we were told if the bishop says that, remember, you don't have any questions, period. You don't ask any questions. You keep your mouth shut. So I figure, oh, well, that sounds about reasonable. If you're a Christian and a superior says he would answer questions, of course you would want to keep your mouth shut and play stupid. Yeah. And so that night, the following night after the service was over, all the girls sat on one side of the church and all the boys sat on the other side. And we were all very quiet. And the bishop, after the service was over, the bishop said, now that you children are Catholic, and if you have a question, I will try, as your bishop, I'll try and answer them if you have some questions about your faith. And so I stood up. And I said, yes, I have a question. I stood up because I wanted everybody in this church to see it's me. And so I stood up and I said, yes, I have a question, Bishop. My father works with torches like a welder, right? And he works with torches. And he let me hold and play with torches a little bit. And so my question is, if there was an angel appeared to me, and if he was right here with me, could I take a torch and burn him? If I got the torch going, could I burn him with the torch? Would it hurt the angel? And he says, well, no. And I said, why not? I mean, anybody else I hit with the torch is going to be hurt. If it was an angel, could I hurt him? He said, no. I said, why not? And he said, well, first of all, you can't even see an angel, much less burn an angel. Second, fire is a natural thing. The bishop said the fire is a natural phenomena. You got to have paper or plastic or something, wood, something to burn. But angels are spirits. There's nothing to burn. So therefore, you can't burn a spirit. And I said, well, then why am I told I'm going to hell where my spirit will burn forever if you can't burn a spirit? And all the people in the church look like a deer in the headlights. Nobody ever thought about that. There's a 9-year-old thinking and asking a simple question, and nobody ever thought to ask such a question. Why? Because they're all ignorant, ill-informed, unread, dim-witted, goofy, drinking their beer and watching a ball game, and all they know is they're supposed to be in church, and it's a very holy occasion, and we're right before the God the Father and Godfather and all of that. But nobody ever thought to ask a silly-ass question like a little 9-year-old. Yeah. And so after that, I began to see that nobody's thinking at all. That's what the old saying, everybody thinks alike, nobody's thinking at all. So I began having fun with my religion. I would drop Alka-Seltz on the holy water and watch the adults flip out because they thought the holy water was fizzling. That means Jesus is here or something. But it was really an incredible story about the betrayal of the human family, how they know they are lying to you, and they're expecting you to be stupid and not ask any questions. And so it didn't take me very long to figure out what's going on. Somebody needs to wake up and find out that we have been had as a country, as a people. Normally, you as a normal man, normal person, man or woman, normally, if you say hello and try and be cordial when you meet someone new, and you say hello and how are you or whatever, and they look at you like you're an imbecile and walk away,
Exactly.
don't even talk to you. Well, normally, you're not going to be very happy about those kind of people.
No.
Okay? They're looking down their nose at you and say, who are you to even talk to me? So
they're better than us.
And so normally people don't like that kind of reaction from other people. Who do you think you are treating me and my child with this kind of disrespect when he said hello to you and you just turned and mocked him and walked off? That's the kind of thing people don't like. But we don't mind it if it's the clergy. See, if it's a bishop or Queen Mom or Prince Charles or any of those other bloodletting murderers and dopers and misfits in human society.
Exactly.
They are royalty. So don't even talk to me, much less get in my way. I have to look at you. You're garbage under my feet. But we love that. Oh my God. I saw the Queen Mom last night. Oh, the Queen was here. And we were just so impressed with the Queen Mom.
Crying and in tears and everything else. Oh my God.
Yeah. And then you find out who the Queen Mom really is. And what she's really doing. And what she's doing, you have no idea what she's doing.
And I think we need to...
Then you start looking at the Queen Mom has to once a year before her government can operate, the British government can operate, the royal government, she has to go into something called the city. This is something the Queen is required to do. She has to go into that 1 mile square in London. There's a 1 mile square and it's called the city. So if you live in London and if you're working with the banks, or all the international banks of the world are within that 1 mile square, all the big international banks of the world. And it's called the city. It's a square. And so if you work in one of those banks in that 1 mile square, people ask you, well, where do you work in London? You say, I work in the city. People think, well, you mean in the city of London. No. In London, there's a place called the city. It's a square mile. And all the people working inside that square mile are not in the UK. They're not on British or English land. They are like in the UN in New York. If you work in the UN, you're not on American territory. That's international territory. And so the same thing in England. If you work for the international bankers, you work for the banks in the UK, which is called the city. So once you begin to see how the Queen of England must each year, before the government can operate under the Queen, the royal government can operate under the Queen, it is required. You see it on television, watch it. She has to go, the Queen has to get off her lazy, useless, goofy ass and put on her nice hat, coat, and ride across in her gold chariot. And she has to go to the city. And she's got to go to where the Lord Mayor of the city, the Lord Mayor of that 1 mile square, he is the guy who's in charge of the whole place. Is called the Lord Mayor of the banking city. And she has to go before him in public on her knees and ask him permission to open her government so she can have the United Kingdom government operate this year. So she has to ask him for permission. The Queen has to go on her knees and ask this other mentally deranged criminal called the Lord Mayor if she can open up her government. Why? Because the government of the UK is nothing more than a corporation. It's a company. It's like General Electric or General Motors, a Ford Motor Company. It's just a corporation, a company. Well, the only way you can have a corporation, if you own Ford Motor Company and you're John Ford, the owner of Ford Motor Company today, you have to have permission from the federal government to operate. So you need to get your attorneys and get your lawyers together, and you need to abide by all the federal laws and all the federal regulations to have that company. And if you don't abide by them, then the official government will tell you you're through. Ford Motor Company does not exist anymore. Why? Because the government said so, period. So if you're going to run your government, you better pay all your fines and pay your fees and pay everything you need to pay, and you better keep paying and have your lawyers make sure all the papers are signed so that you are in business. So I'm just saying, so once you understand the Queen has to bow down to the banks of London to ask permission to run her government, and remember her government is as corrupt as her family. It's very difficult to believe that the government is even more corrupt, or at least as corrupt as your family. But it's true. So when you understand how royalty works and how America was founded and who finances the revolutions, who finances everything, it's just a terrible story about how the people of America are ill-informed, unread, ignorant. They've been fed, they've been fed their alcohol, their booze, and watching their sports and television is nothing more than entertaining the masses. It's an interesting story about how the U.S. government actually works. That's a whole story in itself. We can talk about another.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is the perfect way to round this discussion off for this time, Jordan. And we're going to have another part to this discussion in the not too distant future. Just like I talked to you before about 6 to 8 weeks ago, we're having this little part now. And in the not too distant future, I'm going to have you back on. We're going to continue your lifelong research into tyranny, into the occult, to all these conspiracies, and I thank you very much, Jordan, for coming on to the show. And how would you like to leave off? I guess
what I'd like to say before we leave is I would like to tell the people, if you're interested in waking up and the real truth about the world you live in, I mean, if you can handle it. Michael Nichols said in Few Good Men, you can't handle the truth. But if you can handle the truth and you want to know the truth, go on my website. It's called Jordan, Jordan, like the Jordan River. Maxwell, Maxwell. Jordan Maxwell Jordan Maxwell Show is my website, but remember to put the word show, S-H-O-W. That's my website. So go on jordanmaxwellshow.com. and you will see a little folder. Well, go on and look at my website, look at the podcast, and listen to all the radio shows and all that stuff. But also you will see a little banner that says Jordan Maxwell Research Society. Click on that little Research Society button, and it will take you to my another website I have, which is mega big, which I am putting all of my research over the years, the audios, videos, documents, pictures, research papers, all the links and people, just all kinds of information I've been looking at for all these years. I'm putting all of it on little by little by little. There's only so much my webmaster can do in an 8-hour day. But we're putting on all kinds of off-the-wall, strange information that people have no knowledge of, and I have gained, but I have found it to be very unsafe putting it out into the web for free. It's very unsafe. I need to put it into a private kind of thing. So if you want to hear it, you have to join my research society. Then just go read about it. Just go on the Jordan Maxwell Show, and you will see the Research Society. Click on it and read what my Research Society is all about, and join if you want. And also, the second thing is that on jordanmaxwellshow.com, on the right-hand side, you'll see my 2 new videos. I have 2 brand new videos that are being streamed, so you can just download them right now and watch them. 2 of my most recent videos are now being streamed, and you can watch them immediately. So go to Jordan Maxwell Show. That's where I am, and thank you, and let's do it again.